Eurocentric paradigm. That the model essentially talks about how African people, how black people react, and we talked about this, right? How African people react to white people, react to their circumstances of oppression. And that's fundamentally a Eurocentric sort of approach towards trying to understand African people. And then finally, he says, look, the reality is that most black folks have been operating at the internalization state all their lives. That, you know, and he characterizes internalization as integrationist, as accommodationist. Now, why do you think he would characterize it that way? And you can tell from the tone that he doesn't view integrationist or accommodationist positively. But yet, Cross has it as the very end and as the most ideal state. So why would he characterize this as integrationist or accommodationist?
Doesn't confuse people, right? In Cambone's study.
Mm-hmm.
If you're internalization or whatever, if you're in that stage, then you're the confused person in Cambone's study. Is that equal?
Well, let's go back to the definition. What does the internalization states? What does it say?
You said accommodation, right?
Cambone says it's accommodation.
Oh, okay. You talking about okay.
Cambone characterizes it as accommodationist, as assimilationist, right? So how does Cross describe that model? You said it just a few minutes ago.
That you're working for social justice for others besides black people.
Right.
That
Well,
you can get along
that's the
with.
commitment part. But before that, you internalize a healthy black identity, which sort of does not require you to,
Hate others.
you know, hate others or dislike others or have any sort of negative attitudes towards others, right?
So they got something to do when something happens. So something happens, that's when you react to it.
Well, I mean, in the model itself, it's been said that when people sort of get here, something can happen, and then you can sort of recycle back to this sort of immersion. You know, we talked about it. You know, you feel like you're cool with everyone. You know, you don't dislike anyone, and then some racial event happens, and you can sort of recycle and go back to your immersion. So that is consistent with the model. But Cambone would say, look, how many times does something racial have to happen to you before you realize, wait a minute, you know what? Maybe I need to stay in immersion. Because as soon as I get to this internalization place and I'm all cool with everyone, and I'm thinking that, you know, everything's all good, then something's going to happen. And you live long enough, right? Campbell would say, you live long enough and you're going to have enough racial things happen to you that why are you going to keep recycling and going back when maybe you just need to stay there? Because the reality is white supremacy is going to constantly remind you of the way things are in this world. So why wouldn't you just create a model that says, for healthy African and black functioning, we need to be in a state of vigilance where we're always sort of reacting and almost sort of hyper, I wouldn't even say hyper-reactive, I mean, he wouldn't say that, I might say it, but he would say we always need to be in a state of hypervigilance to be on guard for attacks against our race, our culture. And so we shouldn't be putting forth any model that does not embrace that as the ideal, optimal state of being. Does that make sense? Let me talk to me. Let me get some reaction.
I guess that his thing would perpetuate just like the racial war, but I guess that would be his goal to like, that there's a war going on, and so you have to be like entirely black and like hyper vigilant to counteract, you know, white supremacy. But that perpetuates, you know, the constant battle between other races, you know, which is, I mean, I don't view that as a positive thing, but he does, so.
But if, so then the alternative to that would be to not perpetuate the war of the races and still have black people suffering at the hands of white supremacy. So I think that
No,
one
I mean,
thing.
you can act, like, you can act, not react to, like, you know, racist incidents, you know, but not live in a constant state of, you know, not paranoia, but just like, you know, having to watch behind your back, you know, because of white people.
Well,
And because that's kind of messing up, you know, your personal life, your individual life. You know, living.
white supremacy messes up your individual life.
I know,
Messes up
yeah,
your
but.
personal life. Because I mean.
Go back.
I'm not letting you down.
Wait, hold on. That wasn't